one of the few left out there, or maybe the only ones out there who speaks his mind. And he does media and technology, particularly media. And Rich, Rich has been at Goldman Sachs. He's one of the founding members of Lightshed, and he's, I would say, the axe when it comes to Paramount, Skydance, and this merger with Warner Brothers Discovery. So I figured, with a bunch of left-wing state attorney generals suing to break this up, who better guy to bring on to give us his 2 cents than Rich Greenfield? And Rich, I'm going to turn it over to you. What do you think of the suit? Is it existential to this deal?
Well, it's funny, Charlie. Well, in terms of, let's start with the question of existential. It's only existential if a judge in Oakland decides to grant a preliminary injunction. A temporary restraining order, 14 days, 28 days, who cares? This thing will still close in August. What's going to matter is between now and the end of August, that judge is going to have to decide, this is a Biden appointee, is going to have to decide whether or not to grant a preliminary injunction that would stop closing until trial. And trial, I don't know. I mean, I would be surprised if it happened before, 2027. And so you really slow down this transaction. You've obviously seen the Ellisons lawyering up and bringing on Paul Clement, who's a Supreme Court lawyer. And so you're like, wait a second, are they already thinking this is going all the way? Like, that could take a long time. And so I'm not saying scuttle, but the question is obviously all about time. Paramount is looking at this of, we're fighting against Netflix. The only way we can compete with Netflix is to buy Warner Brothers. The government's going, well, wait a second. There's this market called theatrical that Netflix doesn't really participate in. What happens in that theatrical market and how much power do you have? There's the tentpole theatrical market, which I actually thought initially sounded like a stupid sort of subgenre.
Right.
But then I went through some of the case law, and there's actually a 1986 case from the circuit court in California that actually defined tentpole movies that was actually used in that Penguin. Remember when that Penguin transaction was blocked on antitrust grounds a few years ago?
Yeah, and the tentpole.
It used the same.
Just,
tentpole books was actually a term they used.
But just for our viewers that don't understand the nuances of media, tentpole, you would say that's blockbuster, right?
Correct. Like the Odyssey this weekend, right? Like those types of films. But then the wild card, Charlie, that nobody was talking about. Like I followed this stock for forever. I followed this transaction from the very beginning. Nobody was talking about the government pushing back on cable network power. And so what they're basically saying is, hey, you're going to have 50 cable networks. That's going to give you a tremendous amount of leverage to raise rates. It's sort of an age-old practice in the media world, right? Aggregate cable networks and then use your heft to raise rates. That's exactly what Tegna and Nexstar are trying to do by merging, having more market power to raise rates on distributors. That's obviously the same idea that a judge in California granted a preliminary injunction against. And so I think that nuance actually is more problematic than actually the movie side.